All right, we have Chris who's in the room already. Welcome, Chris. We're happy to have you here. Chris is the CEO of Straight Fire NFT Player. Really looking forward to hear your insights in the space of the NFT world and what's been going on with your team and your community. Welcome on board.
Hi Anne, how you doing?
Very well, thank you. Very well. All right, so I was thinking that maybe we could kickstart this by you just sharing a little bit about your story, what got you in this space. I know you're a serial entrepreneur, so you've got your hand in multiple buckets. What is it about the blockchain world, the NFT world, that's drawn you in, and
Yeah,
what's your story?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess my background is in branding and in the creator space. So I guess it was a natural progression from looking after the interest of the creator and seeing the opportunities of curators working together with brands that kind of like gravitated me towards NFTs. I guess it's such a cool concept, right? That previously it wasn't possible to develop first of all an ecosystem and then to develop the means to distribute most of the value to the original creator. And I guess that's the driving point. So let me try to share something that we always show people is we've developed, the buzzword is the North Star, right? So we developed our North Star, and I guess that what it really for us says, right? It's all about equality. It's for everybody to share in the pie, and not like the happy few that I guess is the case in I would say the real world and also the digital world with all the digital platforms being in place. And I guess that for us, what we have been looking at for our project is what's the real value of a digital asset. And for us, it's clear four clear factors, of which I think at the moment a lot of NFTs only scratch the first one, and that's scarcity. But as I try to explain it to, I would say people that are not in the NFT space, is that scarcity is not a driver of value, right? If I have my 7-year-old son make a drawing, it's one. It's certainly not valued at 60 million bucks, right? I think a lot of other things have to be, or other factors have to be satisfied. So besides the scarcity, what we're focusing on is the utility and the provenance part, and that's what we're trying to elucidate. Like use the NFT player to elucidate the real value of NFTs, and we're focused on utility and provenance. But I guess that for any asset in the real world, right? If it's rare, if you can use it, if there's a good story to be told, if it doesn't really evoke any human emotions with me, I'm still not going to buy it, right? A nice example we always use is one of my business partners, one of the co-founders. She doesn't have a driver's license, so when I look at a nice classical car, a DB5 or 7, I see James Bond driving in it, I see myself driving in it. For her, it has no emotional value whatsoever, so she won't actually spend any money on it. And I guess that's how we, I think, have to view NFTs at the moment, is that for some people it will be very valuable, for others it will be worth zero. But I guess that even so, if we want to move into a more, I would say, mature state, we have to move towards kind of like a place where NFTs have a combination of all of these four elements. So I guess the last line in our North Star, I guess, summarizes that, and that is, at the moment, people buy an NFT because they speculate on the increase of value. And what I think is going to happen with NFTs is that that's not going to be the case anymore. I think most assets in the real world depreciate in value, which is perfectly fine for your car to depreciate in value because you enjoy it, you use it, and if you can sell it for 20% of the original value, that's great. You can put it towards your next buy, and unless you actually satisfy all those four factors, the utility, the provenance part, and that evokes human emotions, then these NFTs do not only have to increase in value, they could depreciate as long as you can enjoy them. And that is something that, so besides the NFT player that we are developing, we have an NFT studio, and the NFT studio is purely focusing on this point, is we are developing NFTs that have an interactive, gaming element in it that makes you enjoy them, while you could also collect them, but it's more used for entertainment and for usage than for it necessarily having to increase in value. So I guess that's a very long answer to your very simple question. How did you get started? I guess I'm passionate about the creator, and whether the creator is an individual designer or whether it is a brand. I've had a couple of brands myself. It's bloody hard work. Up until the moment when you see a final product, there's so much love and labor being put into it. And I guess that, yeah, I would love to be part of a world where we distribute that value more evenly to the people that actually are creating. So let me move into what we basically are doing. So we are developing an NFT player, and an NFT player that basically enables the users to view all the NFTs that they own, all in one place. So at the moment, I guess, you know, you have your collectibles tab in your wallet. If you have a MetaMask wallet, some also have like a Trust wallet. They might have a Math wallet. If you want to look at all your NFTs in one place, at the moment you have to go from blockchain to blockchain. You have to move from wallet to wallet. And I guess if you want to see everything in one place, that was the starting point of the player. Then when you look at marketplaces, I guess marketplaces have one purpose, and that is selling, right? And buying, obviously. But it's all about single NFTs. And what we believe the future is going to look like, it's not going to be single NFTs anymore. It will be collections that are being developed. It's a complete journey. If a brand enters the NFT space, it's not going to be an incidental thing because there's no real use for them. It has to be a substantial part of the day-to-day operation and promotion and marketing that they do. So first of all, with the player, we are creating a single place where you can view all your NFTs. At the moment, so we're developing this. You will be able to view NFTs from 70 plus blockchains all in one place. But then I guess the question is, so then what, right? So this is the moment when we want to add some provenance utility. So we believe that at the moment, yeah, you can share on social media your single NFTs, but there's no way of sharing your collection in a proper way. So think TikTok, think Snapchat, using filters and predefined templates. We enable users to easily share their NFT collections with their friends, with their followers on social media, and maybe more importantly with potential buyers. So while doing that, it's easy to see how this is quite an interesting tool also for brands, right? So for brands and creators of NFTs, it almost is like a management tool for them on how to communicate with their end users, with their loyal fan base. So this is what we're doing through existing channels, right? I guess if the NFT space, for it to move from a fad into an acceptable, I would say, normal industry that everybody buys into, I guess we have quite a long way to go. Our idea is to do this through existing channels that people recognize. So the mobile app that we are developing for this is something that everybody will recognize. It's not going to be very difficult. The only thing you have to do is you upload your digital, or you link your digital wallets, all the ones that you have. You have a nice overview of all the NFTs that you own. You can select your NFT stories from predefined filters. You tap all the social media channels that you want to push it to, and one click at the button. And I would say, well, in England they say, and Bob is your uncle, right? So on the other hand, obviously, one of the purposes for people to showcase their NFTs is they want to sell them, right? So as I mentioned before, marketplaces mostly allow you to view single NFTs, or if you want to promote them as a collection, you quite often have to work with marketplaces. But with this tool, you can all do it on your own. So with the web player, we are creating a virtual environment where you can have a nice overview of all the NFTs that you have. Not, I would say, as what you see with some other visualization tools that are around, where they still are being, I think, they're trying to duplicate a physical space in a virtual environment. So there still are walls, there's ceilings, there's floors. Our virtual space is somewhat more, I would say, creative. But anyway, it's an environment that is not only for you as a user yourself, but through a secure link, you can invite others to view your full collection or the part that you want to list. And in that case, I guess we're not only giving provenance to the NFTs, but we're also giving provenance to the collectors. And I think that that is a part that is not really covered at the moment very well. So you can invite potential buyers to view what you have for sale. They can have a look at all the other stuff that you own and maybe upcoming drops that you have. And for brands, it's a nice environment to create a branded environment, or for creators to have a creator space that people can visit. So one of the cool things that we're working on at the moment is that so these filters, these templates that are being used for social media, we're working together with one of our partners, Sketchfab. That's part of the Epic Game group. And what they've developed is quite a cool development tool that we are using to build our own filters. So we highly encourage other creators to start building these filters themselves, in them through our platform, through our studio as NFTs, and sell them on our in-player marketplace, so that creators can, not only showcase the filters within the player, but also can make good money on it. So I guess that is what you see in this overview. Later releases, we will have an in-player community area for creators who can be featured there, for use to interact with each other. And I guess this is a bit of a highlight of kind of like the basic things of what it's going to look like, right? So you can link your digital wallets, you can view your individual NFTs in a 3D modus. There's an AR module there that you can kind of like take a selfie with your NFT in front of the Eiffel Tower. On the third part, you can create your own unique NFT stories. In this case, it's your top 3 most valuable NFTs. You can click on your filters, and you can select all social media channels in one go, and it's out there. So besides there, as I mentioned, or how I started, is we're from the creator world, and so in our NFT studio, on the one hand, the NFT studio is an NFT lab, right? So we try to develop some of the NFTs that are not currently freely available, but they're, I guess, are the NFTs of the future. So they have a much more interactive element to it. They're much more dynamic, and so to a certain extent, it's like an innovation lab to prepare the NFT player for future NFTs that are going to come. So besides that, so as I mentioned before, so we are from the branding world, so we work with a lot with big IPs, and I guess that's everybody at the moment, wants to develop that NFT for Marvel or for Star Wars or from Nike or Apple. But I guess the reality is that our experience with IPs is that there's only one company getting better off the whole thing. That's the IP holder. So what we really want to do with creators is we get a lot of creators that we talk to that have one single NFT and it looks amazing. It's a nice 3D world, but then what? So what we develop with them is we develop a whole rollout plan that both is online and offline, and we try to see if we can turn their NFT ideas into NFT IPs, and we're focusing on cultural IPs. And I guess that's basically what it is we've tried to create an ecosystem or an environment that is where everything is easy to use. So we have guest-free minting. We handle their metaverse marketing. We are going to introduce fractional trading, which I guess for those who don't know it, you have your NFT, like your EC721. You put an EC20 around it, and you can fractionalize and cut it up, and basically it allows you with a group of friends to own one maybe slightly too expensive NFT, and sell off parts of it if you want to. So together with these creators, we really sit down, and because I think that if you want to go into a little bit of a more mature market, single NFT is not going to cut it anymore. I think you have to have a more consistent idea. And I think the great benefit for creators is that this could actually lend you a nice passive income. And I think that for a lot of creators, that has always been the most difficult thing. You do a project, you get paid, you have to do your business development while you're doing the project because you have to go on to the next one. And in this case, I think the whole like royalty payment that you can embed in the NFTs is a great concept. So this is what we're doing with the NFT Studio, and this is just an NFT IP that we are launching in a few weeks' time. It's called the 11. It started with 2 Chinese artists coming to us with an idea about the Chinese zodiac, and they were developing one for the ox, which this year is the year of the ox. And from one NFT, we've now built it into a collection of a few thousand NFTs that is going to be being rolled out in the coming year, that will have an offline exhibition museum space, a big, nice countdown to the next Chinese New Year. And this is how we're trying to utilize the experience that we have as a team from, I would say, the physical world in dealing with IPs and monetizing it and bringing it into the NFT space. So I do a lot of talking. I hope that the basic concept is clear, and I guess if we have questions, I think that's probably more interesting to the audience than me babbling.
Thank you for sharing that, Chris. Super insightful and very thorough. We don't have questions, but I'm deeply curious about what would you say are your main milestones in the coming year? I mean, this is very exciting, the forefront of NFTs, and I think there's so much happening in this space, especially as more athletes, celebrities start onboarding in this space. It's going to kind of burst at the seams. What are your thoughts about that, and what are your personal milestones in this arena in the next year?
Yeah, so as I often refer to when I talk to investors, is that I'm a bit of an old man in that my previous companies were all equity invested companies, and it takes a long time. There's a load of preparation, and I would say the go public stage is almost never reached, right? Then suddenly I'm in this industry, and I think it's a whirlwind. Everything moves so fast, which is very exciting. But I guess that one of the downsides of it is that there's a lot of attention on building community, shouting very loud how amazing you are, and sometimes building the real thing is sometimes left behind, right? And I think there's a huge emphasis on getting your TGE in place and going out in the market and creating a revenue and getting the token out and all that. I guess for us, the milestone is at the end of the year when we launch the beta version of the player, because for us, I think it adds an essential part of the NFT infrastructure to actually put it into a place where we're linking, I would say, a pretty close-knit NFT community to channels that everybody knows and everybody uses, and we try to normalize it to a certain extent as well. So sometimes I get like requests from media, and I can see from the questions that they ask that the tendency is pretty much that they want to focus on these access sales numbers for some NFTs. And I think what they're doing there is they're missing the point a little bit, is that we still require some essential infrastructure here to get most use of the existing NFTs, but more importantly, that we start thinking about what NFTs could be more so in the future. And I guess there's a project that I was talking to the other day, and what they are doing is they're trying to see if you can put all your personal data into a trust, and then using it in like an NFT environment and selling it to Facebook and Google's. Obviously, there's going to be huge resistance from those players, but I love those concepts on taking a digital asset and using it in a different way. I'm totally convinced that my children, if they ever drive a car, that the driver's license will be an NFT. So I think there's loads of developments there, but I think that what we're focusing on is first to build this, as we say, essential part of the NFT infrastructure. That's one. The second part is that we're really trying to build NFTs that you can enjoy. So we have a tagline, as you can see here on screen. It's like NFTs are emotions you own, and I think that also is one of the essences of the things that we do. Is it's obviously it would be great if you can buy something and then it increases in value and can make a ton of money from it. But I guess there's so many opportunities of using NFTs and enjoying them and passing them on or selling them on, and that is the part that we are focusing on. So we have continuous drops of these exciting NFTs, and on the player side, it's the mobile version first at the end of the year. Which will include the social media sharing and promotion. It will have the AR module in it. It will have the virtual environment in it. And then the next stage will be to have the web player also there, and to have a link on it so that you can manage all your NFTs in the player and then list it on all the major marketplaces. And then finally, it's adding the in-player community and in-player marketplace for the filters. So while we are doing it, I think what we see is when we talk to investors, and so we closed our seed, and while we are finishing up the paperwork, the next round is almost filled as well, and we're talking about the round after that with a TGA somewhere in April of next year. And I think that's also how I started it, right? Is that everything goes so quick, is that we really, I think our biggest challenge is how can we keep focusing on that we're building something really real, versus building a community, getting traction into the market, getting people enthusiastic, and then kind of like rolling out that our token as well. So when you look at the utility of the token, basically what it's not just a way to raise funds. It's the way how you pay for all the filters on the marketplace. It's we have the opportunity for our users to be rewarded when they join. We're working, I can't really announce the name yet, but with one of the largest music labels in the world on how we can add their music to these filters while you're sharing it. I guess think how TikTok makes their money and then apply it here. So there's so many exciting things going on, and I think that for I would say the bolsterous creators, they're in the game now, and they're doing some amazing things, and it has attracted a lot of, I would say, enthusiasts who maybe are going left, right, and center a little bit. It's a long time before, and I say long time, which means probably not the coming 6 months, where real proper businesses come in and say, listen, this will be a line in my financial statement in terms of how much I spend on it and how much money I make from it. Because I think for brands and for corporations, it's a unique way of building a one-on-one relationship with your fan base. So it's easy to maybe like something on social media. It's a little bit more difficult to share it. But are you going to connect with those loyal fan base that actually wants to buy and own part of you? And I guess that is the challenge that a lot of us who are working on the fundamentals in the NFT industry, that's the challenge that we have, right?
Very true, Chris. That's super insightful. You mentioned about how you can't talk much about it, but this music embed into NFTs is very interesting. It's been a conversation that's been springing up in different communities.
Right.
What would you say is the main challenge for actually making that happen? Because obviously music labels and the IP rights, copyrights, all of these things have to be attributed for. So what's your take on what are the biggest challenges in that?
Yeah, so basically, for us, it's two ways, right? So it's one is obviously you can mint an NFT of a song, right, or an album. I think that is one thing. Of course, within the metaverse, we've seen these artists doing virtual concerts. I think that's another way. I think the third part is something that we are starting with, and that is just duplicating what TikTok is doing. I guess it is using music of either new artists or existing artists, and it's another, I would say, so another marketing channel for music labels to push their music through, and it's being shared on the same social media channels that already exist. So I think it's relatively straightforward. I guess what you're referring to is how could music labels use NFTs for their product, right? For their songs. I guess I've put up this North Star slide again. I think, again, you have to apply those 4 factors again, right? So it's scarcity, utility, and provenance, and what kind of emotions it evokes. I think by just simply taking an album and instead of putting it on Spotify, you make an NFT out of it. I guess that's just changing the format and changing the channel. I think that's not going to really do a lot. However, what you could do is you could have, so I think if you think in limited edition from that concept, I think a lot more is possible, but also not just leave it to a song. You know, there's loads of other media that you can add to it. And you can really kind of like build a one-on-one dialogue with the buyers as well. So one of the projects that a pilot case that we developed was when you have a fashion show, and the NFT simply is a link to the fashion show, it being streamed, and you have a private presenter being there at the show. You have your bottles of champagne being delivered to your house, and you can invite your friends to watch it with you. I guess that's also the concept of an NFT, but you make it into a full experience. And I guess that's the main point is if you simply just duplicate the same thing that you now have into the NFT space, I think you kind of like miss a lot of the other things that you can handle with it. So yeah, I guess that is one of the things how I see it. Obviously, the whole collectibles part is something that is across all these industries. Whenever you have celebrities involved or superstars, whether it's in sports or in movies, that there were in the real world collectibles, I guess you will have digital or virtual collectibles as well. But again, I think you have to look at it from a more consistent point of view, and that is just releasing one song or one album is not going to do it. I think it has to be an integral part of how you do your business as a record label. And that is, on the one hand, it's to sell products, but on the other hand, it's to, and I think that's probably more important, it's to build a one-on-one relationship with your loyal fans.
Thanks so much for that, Chris. We have one quick question from Yip before we wrap up. She asks, what is needed to bring NFTs to the next level? And what technical or economic functionalities are not there yet that NFTs need to really be usable to create fundamental business value?
Yeah, so I think it's if I would know the answer, right, I think this is a bit of like the golden egg, right? So I will try to attempt to answer that question. I guess what often are the limiting factors in adaptation of new things is us people, right? So I don't think that technology is an issue. I think at the moment a lot of people are treating NFTs as if they are cryptos. It's a highly speculative environment. In fact, for a lot of people who buy NFTs, they don't really care what it is. As long as it increases in value, everybody's happy. I think for people to realize that that's not going to be around forever like this, there's so much more possible with NFT, then I think that's a magical moment when people realize that, because that will attract people that are not interested at the moment. So from our research, what we found is the limiting factor for ordinary people to step in is one, they don't own a digital wallet. I think by having more functionality within your wallets and by having more needs to have one, I think you will solve that problem. But the second part for the NFT space is its utility and provenance. It's a lot like people saying, okay, yeah, I see this art piece, or I see this this other type of digital asset, but so what? How can I use it? Why is it worth so much money? And I think, in all fairness, a lot of people that produce NFTs have no clear answer to that. So, you know, it's a bit like in the real world. If you want to sell something for a lot of money, you better explain why it's worth all that money. And I think that that is the part that I find in the NFT space missing sometimes, is people just put a number on it and see if it sells. And you know, and I don't really know, you know, for me, it doesn't really matter what the real story is behind it. So the provenance could be Elon Musk owned the NFT. You know, for a lot of people, that suddenly will be worth a lot. For other people, it's a name of digital artist that is the provenance part. And for others, the provenance part, the utility part are less important. And I guess that to see the full fruition of NFTs, ordinary people should actually look at it and think, oh yeah, now I get it. And I think for that to happen is we need to put it into the real world and not pretend like this is something that only sits in your digital wallet. And I guess that requires some more functionality. And for us, I guess we're taking a first step by making everything visible. So instead of having a private key in your digital wallet, you can now actually have it and show it. So of course, I test this all the time with a lot of friends, right? A lot of them don't believe in crypto, they don't believe in NFT. So for me, it's a great chance to try to persuade them. And what I've noticed is they have to see it. A lot of people need to touch things. And I guess that everybody has a mobile phone, everybody understands social media. Now, if you can visualize what beautiful things you have, and how you can actually, you know, share it with the world, then I guess that is a good first step.
Thanks so much for that, Chris. Very detailed response. That wraps up our session. I would love to ask you more questions and get into more details, but thank you for your half an hour and 5 minutes of your time. That was excellent. We look forward to hearing updates. Our next Polygon Forum is on the 7th of April, 2022. So you might be back with a lot more updates for us from your world.
Yeah, yeah. If things are progressing as they are today, then we will have a great conversation by then.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.